being here today, I have to say I'm quite honored when I got a call from Dr. Williams and he said, we'd like to have you come out and talk about leadership. We'd like you to set a date and speak to a class about what has made you successful. And I asked myself, why me? Why is it that he would ask me to be here when there are a lot of other individuals that have larger corporations, have longer careers, they have a lot more leadership experience than myself? And then I thought about it and I said, you know, one of the things in life that you look at is you look at what is the life experiences that shaped you. And if I could be here for an hour and talk to you about some of the things that actually helped me get to where I am today in the leadership, that little bit of wisdom, if it helps you, I've succeeded in doing what I was asked to do here today. I will tell you that in my career, I have made a lot of mistakes. And there's a saying is that if you aren't making mistakes, you aren't learning. And the question is that how do you learn from those mistakes? How do you make sure that you don't recreate those mistakes? So I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to talk to you. And I apologize, I have kids the same age as you, and they say that I lecture them as well. So that's not my intent here. What I am trying to do is tell you that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn from those and then develop your own individual style. I grew up in a very small community, and that community had a reputation that started in 1849. Has anybody taken history here? It's all right, you can participate, you can nod. Anybody taken history class? You all have, right? What happened in 1849 in California? The gold rush? Okay. And with the gold rush, does anybody know where gold was discovered? I know this is not the history class, but come on, where was gold discovered? Anybody know? Well, I said California. I said in California. So, anybody know? It was discovered in a place called Coloma. Coloma is on the American River, and there's a town that's called Placerville. And Placerville was originally called Dry Diggins until a bunch of people felt that it was better to rob the gold miners than to dig the gold. And so what happened is that they started hanging people, and then they called the town Hangtown. After that, they thought, oh my gosh, this is not civilized, so then they called it Placerville. Placer mining back out in California. So the town that I came from was about 2,500 people. My family was involved in the ready-mix aggregate business. I worked in the business. I had conversations with my grandparents, my parents, around the dining room table, listening to them about running a business, trying to absorb that. I was very fortunate at a young age that I was told what was going on, labor issues that were happening, buying trucks, selling trucks, sales agreement contract that was going on. I observed that at a very young age. When I got into college, I enjoyed leadership roles. I got involved in a fraternity. Then I ended up being the regional vice president for the Golden West region for Pi Kappa Alpha, my fraternity. I also got involved in local leadership at the college. I was a resident advisor at UC Davis. I was an Order of Omega. I tried to do is if I was going to be involved with something, I wanted to be running. I wanted to be a person that was part of the decision-making process. That was fun. It's a great position to be in. So what happened is I graduate in 1987 from, I went to school at UC Davis and I finished up at Sacramento State in business. I ended up doing is, had my sights set on being a stockbroker. In October of '87, the stock market was having some problems. Black Monday, the crash of the stock market, nobody wanted to hire me. So they said, try insurance.
So I said, okay, what's the scoop with this? I looked at life insurance, I looked at other agencies, and they said, you can do is receive a lot of good training in the insurance industry, and then when you're a proven commodity, come back and work for us as a stockbroker. And I said to them, if I'm going to do well in insurance and be successful, why am I going to give up that career, come back to be a stockbroker? I know that I have the capabilities of doing what is necessary to be successful. So what happened is I started out in the insurance industry. I was in management training. I said that I wasn't
in sales. Heaven forbid I be an insurance salesman. I did everything in my power to try and make sure that I justified that I was in management training. All of a sudden, I found out I was actually pretty good at it. I developed a process of being able to network, to work with individuals, to develop opportunities to sell personal lines insurance. And I rapidly was advanced into then a management role. What I found is that I was in my mid-20s in a management role with people that were at least, in some cases, twice my age. I was going through management training classes, the HR classes. There's a lot of structure that goes into training and development. But one of the things that they really didn't talk to me about, besides the HR issues, when to report an incident, how to talk to somebody, is how to direct individuals, and this is a saying that I have, is to encourage the right behavior without breaking spirit. There's a very fine line when you see behavior that's unacceptable, and then trying to do is talk to that person, mentor that individual, so that what you do is you get the outcome that was intended, the end result. I made mistakes. And I moved into another role as a supervisor with another personal line of insurance carrier, and I said, I'm tired of having somebody else influence my direction from an upper management level, and I decided to do is move into the retail insurance business. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But what happened is that I spent 17 years working as a retail insurance broker. I became an owner of the business. It was a very large independent agency out of Sacramento. And I was reaching my goal, my dreams. I was by a lot of accounts, successful. And why was I successful? Is that I realized is that I could influence the outcome by my own activities. I wasn't beholden to somebody else to influence what my income was. If I made a mistake and I didn't deliver the right product, if I didn't speak properly, if I didn't spend the extra time that was necessary to go out and do the work, I wasn't going to get paid. If I did all that and I did it well, then I would be paid. And it's also is who do you work with, who supports you, and the relationships with that. I'm not going to take all the credit for that because the retention of business in our industry is very important. You go out and you develop a business relationship. The business relationship is about a team approach. It's about who all is behind the scenes working, where I might be the one that goes out in front of them. So I was working on an insurance program. The insurance program was working on water districts out in California. I had done a good job of developing about 120 businesses I was working with, and that program was through an agent that was acquired by an organization called Glatfelter Insurance Group. Does anybody know Glatfelter Insurance Group? It's over in York County, Leader Heights Road, big building. Everybody drives by and says, what is that? They have no idea what's going on. And I'll get into that in just a little bit in the presentation as well. My wife is from Potomac, Maryland. A lot of people ask me, how did I get back to York, Pennsylvania? And my standard answer, if they ask it in that way, is by plane. So I have a little bit of fun with people. My wife, I met her out in California. We had our kids out in California. And she wanted to get closer to mom and dad who lived in Potomac, Maryland. So where I told you that I came from a small community, coming back here to York, Pennsylvania wasn't a stretch. Everybody thinks of California as being this glamorous Los Angeles movie type, the beautiful sun and surf. It's not like that in totality. It is in some areas of the state. It's absolutely phenomenal. But it wasn't a stretch coming back here to York. That leadership that I had in California, I was involved as the director of the Sacramento, as the board president of the Sacramento Zoo. Now that's a cool job. I got to feed animals. Actually, also got to clean up some of the cages going to what was it, the hyenas. Anybody know what they do with the hyena excrement in Africa? Take a wild guess. Eat it? No. They don't do that. Hyenas can digest bone. And when the excrement comes out, it has a lot of calcium and it dries in the sun, so they use it as chalk. So, little things that you pick up in life, it was really cool. So I was involved in Sacramento Zoo, and it was very important when I came out to Pennsylvania that I was involved with an organization that had a community-minded background, had a culture, a need to relate directly with the community. And I found that with Glatfelter Insurance Group. What I'm going to do is, I'll probably jump into it right now. I want to go into a little bit about the independent insurance agent. Let me ask you first, how many of you are planning on being in sales when you get out of college? Raise your hand. How many in sales? Okay. How many want to be in management when you get out of school? Management level, you think that's where you're? That's what our shit right here. So let me ask you a question. Somebody throw out an industry that you're looking at that didn't raise your hand. What is that industry? Logistics. Logistics? Okay. And so logistics, you're going to be working for a firm, correct? That firm is going to have clients. Those clients are going to pay money to you to be able to pay salaries, pay for the work that you're doing, correct? In that position, are you going to be needing to promote and to sell your organization to be able to get clients? You're in sales. Somebody else. Over here. Somebody. Who didn't raise their hand? Advertising. That's sales. That definitely is sales. The thing is that people don't realize is that sales is in everything that we do. It's how you present yourself. It's how other people view you and your ability to relate. It's those life experiences that you take and you put together and you continue to try to develop the best way that you can resonate. I mean, having friends. You have a lot of acquaintances here at school. The question is that whether or not you have a lot of friends, close friends. Having a friendship takes time, it takes energy, cultivation. And that's what happens when you're looking at leadership, developing your style of who you are. If you're going to be in management has to be one of the best promoters of an organization. You have to be in the position where you actually are out there selling in the community. You're the one that sets the tone for the organization. So if you're going to be in management, you're going to be in sales, in any organization, you're in sales. You're promoting the organization. Somebody say to you, when you came here to Elizabethtown College, that if you do something illegal, get caught. What are you doing? Are you representing just yourself, or are you representing the school of Elizabethtown College? Elizabethtown College, right? I mean, you are a representation by the fact that you are here at Elizabethtown College. You have to remember that when you're looking at businesses. And a lot of people forget that. They look at it as a disassociation. So if you've had a good experience here, if you're enjoying what you're doing, are you promoting that to your family, to your friends? So the point I want to get across is that do not look at sales as the sense that you're out and being the producer paying a commission to do your job. Everybody's in sales by that sheer fact that you're working for, you're part of an organization because you're promoting it. One of the things that you have to bear with me. That's what I prefer not to do PowerPoint presentations. I prefer to just go off the cuff. I don't like necessarily to read, but I know it's also important to be visual and to look at something when somebody's talking to you, so you're not staring at me. So I'm okay with that. I just pulled something up this morning. I got off the fax machine about development. Money is the result of serving people well. Serving people well is an honorable thing, and it's hard work. Money is the result of hard work. It doesn't come easy. What I do is I am an independent insurance agent. I'm proud of it. Remember when I said that I wasn't necessarily proud when I first started out? When I had 2 cars, my friends were trying to do is figure out how they got their first house. I had my house, I had the dog, I had all those things. I did the opposite. Then I went out and got a wife. And I had kids after I got married, so that's another one. Not morality test here. But the point is that I was able to be successful being an independent insurance agent. One of the things that we have is associations. Those associations direct us, they provide resources, and the association that what I wanted to talk to you about and who we belong to is one of the associations is the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of America. I sit on the national board and represent the state of Pennsylvania. I also am involved in the Agent Council for Technology. There's 5 of us that talk about technology in our industry, how we're going to develop that technology to better serve our clients. The Trusted Choice is a logo that's been out about 15 years, and it's a standard in which we talk about the quality of service and the type of people we are as independent agents. It's very important that as independent agents, we have a high standard of honor and that we do our best to present ideals that our clients should expect. When you look at insurance, people have a lot of different viewpoints about insurance. Insurance is one of those things where it's a necessary evil. You think about insurance, you say, gosh, I'm paying so much insurance, I can't believe that I have to pay this much. It is a confusing product for people. Think about it though. If you own a house, and say the house costs you, say, $300,000, and you have a loan out on the house, that bank is going to require that you have insurance because they want to have their investment covered. If you go out and you buy, we'll say, a diamond ring, a car, let's say that you pay for cash, let's say you spend $30,000 for a car. Are you going to drive down the road not having insurance on it? What happens if you get involved in an accident? Your $30,000 just goes out the window. So what it is, it's a sharing of risk, it's transfer of that to another party. But one of the things is that we find is that there's a lot of people that are very creative about how they view insurance and how they manage claims. Insurance operations, when you look at insurance has a number of different kinds of operations. The first one is where I'm involved, and that's retail. Retail is selling a product directly to a consumer. When you look at the wholesale is an insurance operation that has developed products that sell those through retail, myself. Then if you look at the carrier or the company, those are places like Liberty Mutual that you see, Hartford, Travelers, just to name a few. Those companies, they file their rates, the rules with the departments of insurance. They're able to then provide those to through wholesalers with retailers, but ultimately, again, the consumer buys the business for the most part through the retailer. Reinsurance. What is reinsurance? Insurance companies buy insurance themselves, and what they look at is how much risk they can hold themselves before they have to do is transfer it to another party. Reinsurance right now, when you look at the global reinsurance marketplace, there's a capacity that's a little over $650 billion of capacity. Right now, what we're looking at as far as the insured amount of risk today, it's a little shy of $500,000. So everybody understands supply and demand. What we do is we have more supply than demand. So what we're seeing right now is that there is a softening of the market. The market is fairly stable. But when we talk about soft market is where the prices are not going up. They're staying the same or actually going down. And because we have a lot of capacity in the marketplace, and more reinsurance could be purchased, the rates are fairly stable right now. And then we look at other services that are related to our industry. There might be independent claims adjusters, loss control adjusters, safety and loss control inspections that might be provided by independent contractors that work in conjunction with the industry. When we look about retail insurance, as I mentioned that I'm involved in, and the Independent Agents and Brokers of America, the Trusted Choice logo, and that Trusted Choice logo that I showed you at the beginning, you'll see a lot more marketing in this state that is going to be promoting it. So part of what I want to do today is just create an awareness about that. So what we do is we represent the carriers, as I indicated, that develop products, and somebody has a specific question about insurance and development of it, I can bore you to death with those, but it's probably another topic, another time. Then the wholesalers and the MGAs. The MGAs are managing general agents. And when I talk about Glatfelter Insurance Group and what we do as a parent company, I will do is explain to you how we act as an MGA, managing general agent. And then we represent products that are both admitted and non-admitted. Admitted markets are insurance carriers submit their rates and rules to the Department of Insurance in their particular state. The Department of Insurance reviews those for fairness with the consumer, verifies that they're going to be issued in compliance with the Department of Insurance regulation. Those companies that are admitted then have to do is follow those regulations to the letter of the law. They also do not have as much flexibility to change if the economic or social conditions within the industry change. They're not able to do that as readily. And that's fine. Most of the companies that you're going to do business with will be admitted companies. When you look at retail business for an independent agent, some of you may think of State Farm. Some of you may say Allstate. Those companies are direct carrier representatives. We don't count those as independent agents because they work directly with the insurance company providing a single product. What we do in the retail independent agency environment is we represent a number of different carriers. Why is that important? That's important because that people's lifestyles, people's exposures change. So if you're sitting here today, how many of you are buying renter's insurance? Probably not many of you. If you're in your own apartment, you might be getting that coverage from your parents. Auto insurance. Okay, you're paying that, or some of you may be under your parents' insurance. Hopefully you are. Write that out as long as you can't let them pay for it, because it gets to be very expensive, correct? So what happens is that your life today and what needs you have may dictate that you have lower limits, that you have certain carriers that are going to be able to insure you at a certain price. As you develop in life, you get your first career, you have your family, you have kids, other things, then you're going to need to do is have different insurance products. Hopefully you've developed a relationship with your insurance agent, your independent insurance agent, and that independent insurance agent, representing a myriad of different carriers, would be able to place you with those carriers as your life changes. When you're dealing with a direct writer, such as an Allstate or a State Farm, and there's nothing wrong with them, I'm not saying their name, it's just a differentiation. They may be limited as to what they can sell you because they have products that come directly from the carrier where we can go to multiple different carriers. Non-admitted carriers here are carriers such as Lloyd's of London. Lloyd's of London is one of the largest non-admitted carriers in the United States. And Lloyd's of London, what is unique about Lloyd's is it was the founding of insurance. The actual founder of insurance in the United States, do you know who that was? Bueller? No? Anybody have any guess? One of our founding fathers around that period of time, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was looking at people and their property, trying to figure out a way to insure this. So what they did is they ended up selling people plaques. They're brass plaques that were put on a house, and people paid money for the fire company to come and put their fires out. So you paid money based upon how many people were insured, what the possibility of having to replace it was, sharing the risk with other individuals so that you could have your assets replaced. Problem was that some people would do is let ivy grow over the plaque. People would go out to fight the fire and not see the plaque, and they'd let the house burn down. So it was a good start. At Lloyd's of London, you think about what happened from, we'll say, the 1500s to the 1800s. We had a lot of ships coming over from Europe, correct? A lot of them came through London. People would sit on the docks and say, gosh, I have 100,000 pounds for Britain of goods that are coming across. They would do is they would sit and they would look at the ship that was going to take their goods. They look at the captain, they look at all of those things, and then they would make a determination as to what the likelihood is those goods would get over to the New World, to America. And so they'd have a chalkboard up on the dock, and they would end up doing is taking portions of that risk. So somebody might take the first 25,000 and be paid $1,000 for that. The next person would take the next 25,000, be paid $700, and so forth and so on, until $100,000 was shared. That is the risk sharing that occurs in insurance. What can you do is buy insurance for your automobile, we'll say $1,000, and receive $30,000 in protection and liability and the other things. It's because it's a sharing of risk. It's pooling of that with other individuals. So Lloyd's of London, that's what they did. That's where insurance really is tested, and people will have an opportunity to go in and say, we'll take this and this portion of the risk and share it. So that non-admitted carriers are still approved to do business in the state, but they don't participate in the thing called the guarantee fund. The guarantee fund has a certain amount of money in the event that a company goes bankrupt to be able to pay claims, and it depends upon the state that you're in. Again, you talk about insurance premiums, and you talk about our industry. Everybody looks at price. Obviously, it's a large dollar, but I thought this was kind of cute here. And when you look at the Glatfelter agency, we are part of, as I indicated before, Glatfelter Insurance Group. We were founded in 1951 by Art Glatfelter. Art Glatfelter was a Marine in World War II, lived in Loganville, had a strong belief in service, and started the business on his kitchen room table. What happened is that in the development of his business, which the Glatfelter agency was the start of that through some mergers, and I'm not going to go into all those details. He was approached by a person in the community about developing an insurance program for firefighters. A lot of you, if you hear Glatfelter Insurance Group, you'll hear about the volunteer firefighters program, and I'll get into that in a second. He realizes that it was about relationships. It was about the people that helped get you to where you're going. And we had a tremendous amount of growth that Art came out and said, all right, I would like to do is share that with the people who helped me get to where I am today. And there was a lot of research that was being done, and we came up with a way to share that wealth with our associates through the ESOP, Employee Stock Ownership Plan. An ESOP, each year based upon profitability of the organization. When I talk about everybody's a salesperson, everybody promotes the business, everybody in our business, in our insurance company, our insurance agency, is known day one. There's a percentage vesting, and at certain triggers through through the years, you can pull the money out and you can create wealth for individuals. So it's not where you just have a layer of owners at the top to take all the profits out. We are sharing with people who actually help us get to where we're going. When we look at 100%, I'm going to say close, that's 98.5%. Art passed away in February of 2013. We retired his share. So we have close to 100% that's owned by the son. When you look at the Glatfelter agency, we have 43 associates, but we have 520 associates nationwide. So when we look at our size, in 7 business locations, we operate in all 50 states in Canada, we're 125 million. If you were to look us up and say largest insurance agencies, you wouldn't find us. We're not for sale. A lot of companies will put their name out there because they want to show how big they are so that they can see if they're possibly for sale. We're not for sale. But if you were to look at our rank based upon our revenues, we're roughly about the 15th largest insurance agency in the United States. So little York, Pennsylvania, this gentleman who started this business in 1951 with a vision, was able to develop a very strong business over the years, taking advantage of what opportunities were there. So volunteer firefighters insurance services, we provide accident sickness programs, and this is where it really started, is Art was approached by Chief Bob Little, said, we don't have workers' comp, people are volunteering, how do we protect these individuals? And Art came up with a program to be able to provide accident sickness. So if somebody were to fall through a roof, hurt themselves, they were taken care of. It also, emergency responders, we developed into property and casualty, so insuring fire trucks, all that. So that's our largest program, Volunteer Firefighters Insurance Services. And that's really where Glatfelter Insurance Group is known. When you look at the next one, Glatfelter Public Practices, we insure water districts, sewer districts, reclamation districts, municipalities, up to 75,000 residents. We have schools program that's in there as well. And all these programs, in some way, shape, or form, we have a risk component where we actually share in the risk. We actually underwrite these wholesale programs. We take risk, and we also handle the claims for them. So we act as an insurance company, but we're truly what's called a managing general agent. We manage the relationship from the carrier's perspective, do the bonds, do any other things to manage most or a portion of the relationship. But we're a bit of a unique animal here. Glatfelter Specialty Benefits, that's where we also have a program for what we call LoSAP. So these individuals would go out and fight a fire, and I don't mean to be saying one sex over the other, but a lot of them happen to be men. And the spouses were saying, if you're going out to fight the fire, what happens if you get injured? What happens to this? You're spending all this time out fighting. So we developed a program called LoSAP, and that program helps the municipalities through a funding mechanism, put annuities in place to put together like a retirement plan. So what we've done is we've cocooned the relationship with the brokers that we're providing these benefits or these products to. What we're also doing is establishing relationships with the client. We're doing safety training, a whole myriad of things that could be a whole nother presentation by itself. Then have the healthcare practices that Glatfelter has, and that is home health care, hospice care, and then that's also going into assisted living facilities. Glatfelter Religious Practices, we acquired a program which was for the mega churches in the Gulf Coast. It's developed into a nationwide program. And so it's a religious, just like it says, churches. And then there's one other retail agency besides the Glatfelter agency that's located in York, Pennsylvania. The Insurance Center is located in Joplin, Missouri, and it was acquired in 1993. They also have a car wash program that they sell on both retail, so directly to the consumer, and wholesale, providing it through retail agencies. One of the things that when you're looking at an organization, you're thinking about getting out into the real world and making choices, you really have to look at the culture of an organization. I think that's very important. What is the culture? Glatfelter, when I was coming out here, I was talking to Tony Campisi, who's the CEO. I said, what do you wear every day? He goes, coat and tie. I said, Friday, coat and tie. He goes, we don't have any casual days. We're coat and tie. It's a professional organization. We want the look of our organization to represent who we are. And that saying of, you only have one time to create a first impression is very important. So the way that you hold yourself, the way that you present yourself, we believe in making sure that we have a good image in our community. So culture is incredibly important to us. When we look at the culture and we look at Glatfelter, you know, it's how does that culture come about? Where is that culture being developed? We look at, we are in the community. We are part of the community. And again, I'm not going to say it's just about our business and what we're doing. It's what is the culture of the community in total. Does the community foster a servant mentality? And how do you get involved with that? So when I came here, we had a very servant mentality here. It was very easy for me to open up and to get involved in the community because what the people before me said as far as the examples. Art opened up a lot of doors, even though he wasn't there. It's what I did once I got through those doors that really made the difference. When you look at it, people in our industry, we're very heavily involved in our churches, our schools, civic and social minded. We volunteer and we donate. I'm not sure where my bio is, but it's a short bio. If you want to go online, you can see our bio in the associates section. I have gotten involved in a lot of organizations. I joke that I raised my hand once and I get picked 3 times. And I think it's a blessing and a curse at times because it creates a lot of long days. But I tell you what, I've met great people. And when I think about my own personal leadership and what I've learned by being part of those organizations, I have individuals in this community that that are peers, that I look up to, that we sit on these boards, and I'm learning about financial statements. Even though I work with financials, I do my budget, I do my business plan, I learned something from the exposure of being involved in these different organizations within our community. The value that comes back to the organization is multiple. Life, again, is about experience. It's what you have that you bring into your relationship with others. So independent agents are known to be very civic-minded and involved in their communities. When we look at the insurance product, I mentioned this a little bit before, that people look at it this way. They look at insurance as something that is very difficult to understand. Why wasn't that covered? Why do I need this much money? When I did submit a claim, it wasn't protected. That's very frustrating for people. So part of our responsibility as independent agents are to make sure that we sit down with people. We learn, first of all, what their needs are. And then we do is we develop products that will actually suit those personal needs, those exposures. Talking about what they call risk appetite. Risk appetite is very important in our business. It defines whether or not you're going to have assume more liability, or you're going to transfer liability to another person, party. What are you going to absorb in the form of a deductible, or are you going to do is take something that's lower, pay more money, that's all related. So our responsibility is to try and simplify as an independent agent your buying of insurance. Why is it changing? Why is our industry changing today? I think one of the things that you'll see, and if you look at the 4 generations working in the workplace today, you have the traditionalists, which are on the way out right now. You have the baby boomers, which I'm at the tail end at 1964. Yes, I am 50. We have then the the Xers, and then you have the millennials. You're in the millennial group. So, anybody have an idea how many jobs you'll have by the age of 35? Throw some numbers up.
12.
12 is about the closest. 12 jobs. 12 different jobs. What happens is typically in our industry, it is watch me, I'll set the example, I'll lead, and by that you're going to be pulled along, created, and there's going to be opportunity for it. But what happens is that there's a lot of expense that's associated with that much turnover in our industry. We just had a report that was just generated by Bobby Reagan that the number of agents participated in our industry. We have roughly about 1 million agents in the United States. There's a little shy of 6 million people in the insurance industry. And what they're talking about in the next 15 years is 50% of our industry is going to turn over. It creates opportunity. It creates great opportunity as a career. Anybody's mother, father, family member in the insurance business here? Good chance that a number of you have somebody that's involved. And if you ask this question, I didn't ask it, most people in my role getting up here talking about insurance ask, who thought they were going to be involved in insurance? If you were to ask them, they probably said no, they didn't have any idea that they were going to get involved in insurance, but found it to be a very good industry. It created wealth for the family, it created opportunities for themselves. But what we're looking for is we're looking for somebody that's well educated, is adaptable, and patient. Y'all don't have a history of being patient. You're very fast, you're very bright, you want to move through things very, very quickly. The fact is that in our industry, and I'll get through a couple of slides here, you'll see the number of products that you sell in our industry. It's not as simple as it may appear. There is a learning curve that you have to go through. And anything that you do once you get out of this, this academia, it's going to be a learning curve. It's how patient you are. How observant are you? Are you willing to go through the paces to actually get to the end result that's going to pay off for those years of education and experience? But what happened is one of the things that I was talking to my daughter's school, the future business leaders. They said, what are we looking for today? Where we used to take almost any comer and see if they'd work, and then if they didn't work, we just discard. We don't have the time, we don't have the resources to do that today. I was asked to be on one of the task force and chair it for the independent agents and brokers in regards to talent recruitment and development. It's very important in our industry. When we talk about 50% of our industry turning over in the next 15 years, we got to figure out a way to do this better. So one of the questions they ask is, what are we looking for? We're looking for people that are exceptional. You have to be exceptional today. And I'm not talking about being exceptional in the sense of bringing attention to yourself in a bad way. It's being exceptional that you have been given specific expectations, and those expectations you take, you develop those, you do more. We're looking for you to be able to do more. So if you're looking at asking at any career, think about how you be exceptional. How do you come across and how do you add more value than the person sitting next to you? What are you going to do to differentiate yourself? And again, it's not about bringing attention to yourself. It's just being exceptional. Think about how that is. What do you bring from your life experiences? When we talk about this, most of you have grown up with the cell phone. I think probably all of you looking around here. You all have cell phones. You think about technology and how technology is changing. It's changing our industry. It's the delivery mechanisms that we are looking at how we maximize that. We realize that if we have the turnover, if we have you coming into our industry, we have to be making those changes. As we talk about technology is changing our industry, we have an agency management system is the repository. Where do we keep all the data? How well can we store it? How well can we retain it? Also depends upon how we use paperless. So much of what we're doing is not going to be a paper in front of you. It's going to be storing it and being able to pull it back. It's carrier downloads and uploads, putting information into our system to be able to then interchange that information as quickly and efficiently as possible. Client portals. When you look at client portals, these are where your client can come in and look at their policies on your website and do it efficiently so that they can have access 24/7. Y'all don't want to really be in a situation where you're relegated to having to work between 9 and 5 to do any of your searching on the internet, right? You don't like buying things with specific guidelines that you can only go at this time. If you have that, you can see it at the mall, but most of you are going to do is shop online today. You're going to form your opinions and do those things based on that experience. So we realize as an industry that we need to change. The internet obviously is changing. The web presence that we have, the mobility, the connectivity, the ease of use, and the speed. Like I said, I know you all are very, very fast at what you do. You can work through text messages. You can talk to probably 10, 15 people more at one time with the different, with your iPhone. But speed, we realize, is very important to be efficient and to be relevant in our industry. Marketing branding, and so this means is how do we use Facebook? Facebook is one of those areas that, I'm going to say old timers, people like myself, I am on Facebook. I try my best to figure out how I can market with it. We're trying to figure out how we market and do it better. We have somebody that works within Glatfelter that is specifically working on our social presence. So then we have Twitter, and of course we have LinkedIn. These are some of the three that we use more heavily in trying to promote our organization. But are we doing it well? You can help. Because we're trying to compete against these. These are the ones, and I don't have to use the specific ones so that we have not an issue with branding. But we are competing as independent agents with these brands. Now, let's say the one in the middle, we sell also. We represent them. They have both a direct presence and they also have a independent agency presence as well. What we represent right now is 38% of the market share, roughly. And we saw that erode over a number of years. We were able to stop that erosion. And why was that the case? We have been able to stop some of that erosion because we hit the bottom, or that people realize is that as you get older, that you like to have the relationship with somebody that you can relate to, somebody that's, you realize your assets are more important to ensure in a different manner. You make choices. So the independent agent has been doing a lot to try and combat the erosion of the direct carriers and also the direct market. They also spend upwards of $1 billion for some of the individual companies, $500 million to $1 billion. The independent agents and brokers don't have those resources. Where do we get those referrals, that business? It's through referrals. It's being involved in the community. And we talked about it originally. Are you a salesperson? Being involved in the community, doing those things, promoting yourself. Are you selling commodity or value and service? One of the things that you look at with 15 minutes, give us 15 minutes, we can save you 15% or more. That is, in our estimation, a commodity. That is not the way that we want to sell. Question is, again, insurance. Is it covered? When you look at a property and casualty license, what do we have? People in sales in our industry, all of us have gone to college. Not necessarily studied to be insurance agents, but we have studied. When we look at the property and casualty business, some of the lines of coverage that you're looking at selling, we have to know, this is when we talk about speed, we talk about what is required for us. We need to know every single line of coverage. We need to be able to assess, talking to an individual, invoke active listening, be asking the right questions to come up with the right products, the right solutions for them. And everybody is unique. What's great about the business that we're in is I get to ask questions about businesses, learn about how they operate, what made them successful, develop personal relationships with them. And it's to try and do is provide these protections. When you look at the life, health, and accident license, what you have. Of course, it's the business insurance, group insurance, health insurance that you have, life insurance, disability, accident, sickness, and then you also have the personal insurance, which is a life insurance. So even in those, when you look at our industry, there are people that specialize in each one of these areas and can make a whole career out of selling insurance. When you're looking at this, it is about risk. It's about evaluating to look back to go forward. And it's frustrating for us at times when somebody says to us, "I had no tickets or accidents, my insurance went up." An independent agent can go out and look at the marketplace for you. We can look at options. If you're with a direct writer, you may not have options. You may take it or leave it. So what we try and do is create value through those relationships. Because it is a piece of paper and a promise at the end of the day. And when you're looking at this and you're making evaluations and you're trying to figure out whether or not it worked out correctly, does it work the way it was supposed to? Did you set it up? Did you sell somebody? We have things called E&O insurance. If we don't do it correctly, we get sued. We're professional. And this is one of the things that I find is very important, is that it's about character. Character can be defined about doing what's right. J.C. Watts had it down here. J.C. Watts had it down here. It's doing what's right every day. And when you think about who you are and you think about your own leadership style, I would say that you have to feel good about what you see in the mirror. Like I said, I started out in this industry making excuses. And it's the best industry I could have thought of being in. Now I married a nurse. She doesn't think about sales and that. And it took about 5 to 10 years of our marriage to figure out what I did and all the things I told her. My kids the same way. I don't think they listen to half the stuff I say, but that's fine. But it's again, it's a great industry. I've rattled on here for a lot longer than I thought, and I apologize. But any questions? Have I worn you all out? Hopefully I didn't see anybody sleeping. So I just want to say thank you very much for letting me come over here and speak with you and ask me to do the presentation.